There's a moment where the dog seems to have this like beautiful, like looking up at the owner, and the owner's just like looking down at the dog, and you're like, oh, they're having a moment, which is nice. But there's also there's also the people that are training a check-in, right? Training the dog to make eye contact. I've even heard people talk about this idea that, you have to train the dog to make eye contact with you because that's, that is such a powerful thing. But I'm like, I don't want to put like, look at me on a cue, with a reward at the end. Like it feels like it feels like you're the pick me girl. It feels like you're like, love me, pick me, choose me, and then also I'll give you this reward. I don't like that. Yes, today on the podcast, we are talking again about the idea of the check-in, having your dog check in with you, but bribing them to do so. I don't like it. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. Have you ever wondered why your dog does that thing? Bolts at the squirrel, freezes in new places, won't settle no matter how many walks you've done. What if I told you that that's not really about obedience, and it's definitely not about being stubborn? It's actually about their doginality, their unique personality, and the way they naturally process the world. Well, I created a short, insightful quiz to help you uncover your dog's doginality, so that you can finally stop guessing and start connecting in a way that actually makes sense to your dog. Because when you understand your dog, everything changes. So go ahead and take the quiz at beyondobedience.ca/quiz and meet your dog where they are. See them at a whole new level. Again, that's beyondobedience.ca/quiz. Let's make understanding your dog a new training. I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Getting over that holiday hangover. It's not actually over because, we got the whole New Year thing coming up. But I'm not really a New Year's person, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't go to parties. I don't go to New Year's parties. I'm not really a New Year's person. I really do love Christmas. But it's like, there's so much prep, and then it seems to be over and over. Like, in a flash, it's just gone. It's just gone. Now you're left with this, like, can I take the decorations down now? I'm that person. Are you that person? I'm that person. Like, January 1st, like, I will, like, clean out everything. Like, I put up all the glitter and the twinkly lights and everything, and I'm like, ooh, Christmas. And then by January 1st, I'm like, get out of my house. I don't know why. It's weird. Am I the only one? Let me know. Let me know. Leave a comment if you're on Spotify. Let me know. Am I the only one that does that? Anyway, still up for now. Still up right now. That's okay. All right. Today, I actually wanted to talk about one of our favorite things because I was thinking, like, what if your dog could write your New Year's resolution for you? We probably wouldn't want to know. It would be like more treats and hikes, and also stop jibber jabbering. Stop with the jibber jabbering. That's what I thought dogs would say. Just give up the treats for no reason other than, like, I am a good boy. When they're like, who's a good boy? I am. I'm always a good boy. Just give me the treats. I don't want to do tricks for treats anymore. Just give them to me. That's what I think the New Year's resolution would be. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if your dog could write a New Year's resolution for you, what would that look like? And I came up with this show title. Is it that it's the end of the year and I'm just like, like, let's hope that I get this all out of my system, and then I start 2026 with this whole bright, fresh, like, oh, moment, because all that came up for me was shut up and show up. The resolution your dog's been waiting for. What is wrong with you, Tracy? I don't know. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling. It's been rough. But you know what? Let's just go with it. Let's just go with it. If you're the resolution your dog's been waiting for. So essentially, I wanted to talk again about this idea of relying less on our obedience, our words, the things that we say, and really start to embrace this idea that one, dogs don't communicate that way. Will they learn it? Yes, dogs are smart and they're adaptable and they eventually do learn. I can't remember the stats on it. Like, there's a border collie or something that knows like 500 words or something, 500 different toys names or something. I don't know. But will they understand? Can they understand some things? Yes, but it's not what they do. It's not how they communicate. It's not their thing. And more often than not, when we are walking around talking to our dogs, we're saying words, but our energy, our chemical scent, our body language is saying something completely different. That's why your dog can tell the difference between when a car ride means we're going to the park and a car ride means we're going to the vet. They can tell you're lying, right? They can tell, right? They know these things. They pick up on these subtleties and these little tiny cues that we have. Like we could never play poker against dogs. That's what I've decided. We could never play and win poker. We have tells. We have so many tells that dogs have learned to pick up on, and our chatter, our talking just doesn't matter. Now, if you're like me, obviously, I'm not saying to go around never talking to the dog because I like to talk to my dogs. But know that if you're talking to them all the time, they will, like kids, tune you out. They will start to you just become background noise to the dog if you are constantly talking to them. So if you haven't already, or if you've done it every single time I've asked you to play the Be Quiet game, I am going to encourage you to play the Be Quiet game a lot and keep playing the Be Quiet game. Think of it this way. The Be Quiet game is it's you, the human, practicing speaking dog. You need to become fluent in that. And that is really going to elevate not only your communication and the dog's understanding, but it's also going to elevate your relationship. Things become easier. You know, one of the things that I always find so funny is people talk about this idea of like the check-in for dogs. You ever heard dog trainers say that? I remember like when I used to hang out with a lot of dog trainers, and they would see, like, you know, we'd watching people and their dogs, and they'd be like, oh, that dog had a great check-in. See how that dog checked in? And admittingly, I like it too. There's a moment where the dog seems to have this like beautiful, like looking up at the owner, and the owner's just like looking down at the dog, and you're like, oh, they're having a moment, which is nice. But there's also the people that are training a check-in. Right? Training the dog to make eye contact. I've even heard people talk about this idea that, you know, you have to train the dog to make eye contact with you because that's, you know, that is such a powerful thing. But I'm like, I don't want to put like, look at me on a cue, you know, with a reward at the end. Like it feels like you're the pick me girl. It feels like you're like, love me, pick me, choose me, you know, and then also I'll give you this reward. I don't like that. Personally, I find it to be like, oh, you know, like, look at me, pay attention to me. Like, I'm going to bribe you to look this way. I don't like it. And here's the beautiful side effect, if you will, of when you start practicing not talking to your dog, when you start communicating with your body language, when you start asking the dog with hand gestures, not obedience command hand gestures, but just actual hand gestures. When you start doing that, you automatically get a dog that starts looking at you. Why? Because they have to know what you want them to do. I mean, it's a beautiful side effect of doing all this work. The other thing too that really helps to get an automatic check-in is to be somebody that's interesting to a dog. What? Yes. And I mean beyond your treat pouch, right? You know how many people I see walking down the street or working with their dogs, and their dog is looking at their pocket or their treat pouch. And we're like, what do you really care about? They're just looking at the treat pouch. You're like, when's that next morsel of food coming? When's that morsel of food coming? And I'm like, that's not cool. I want a dog that looks at me because they're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What's going on? I like to play the game of like, when my dogs aren't paying attention to me, I'll go do something, wrestle in some leaves. Then I might drop some food and be like, oh my gosh, look what I found. The dogs come over. They're like, what are you looking for? They're like, you found food? That's amazing, right? Now I become somebody interesting, still using food, just in a completely different way. Building this excitement around the idea of hanging out with me and paying attention to me. Playing little games like hide and seek. If my dog's not paying attention, I'll run and hide behind a tree, and they'll be like, where'd she go? And then I'll take off and be like, oh, I'm running away. Like little things that help build engagement naturally in a way that is fun for the dog. Doing environmental agility where you're like climbing over logs and going under things. And what do we find over here? Searching, seeking, looking for stuff. You know what? Like I once ran with Levi and stood underneath a tree, looking up a tree going, that squirrel, I tell you. Man, if we could get that squirrel, Levi, like, you have to get a little weird with it. I'm not going to lie. But when you create that, you create this idea of the dogs going, well, I talked about this on the Christmas thing. It's better with you there. Like it's better outside with you there. Believe it or not, my dogs think that it's better when I'm outside. Even though I have lots of dogs and they love playing with each other, it's better when I'm out there. Sure, they'll sometimes run out, like, if Gunther is feeling really frisky because he's a puppy after all, and he's driving us crazy and he's running around the house, I'll be like, get out. And him and Nike will run around and they'll kind of run back and forth, but they don't do it for very long. And before you know it, they're back standing at my door going, are you coming? Like, are you coming too? And I love that. It's so hard for me to say no to them too. Like they literally have this, are you coming out to play? Are you coming with us? Like, and I absolutely love that. And it's an invitation. It's an invitation to be a part of their world. It's an invitation to just explore with them. Like it's an invitation. And when we start playing in their world, I don't have to ask my dogs for eye contact. I don't have to ask my dogs for eye contact. They just do it. So this is my end of the year reminder that the more that we shut up and we, become fun and relevant and we use our body language and we, communicate with them with how our presence, how we feel, all of those things, you're going to see the engagement skyrocket. You're going to see them. You're going to see them just, I don't know. It's magical. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. So I don't know. I'm just going to say that if you're going to do resolutions in the new year, maybe one of your resolutions would be, I'm going to try to stop talking as much to my dog and see what happens. That's a good resolution to have. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying. It's a good resolution to have. We're going to talk on the new year. Let's talk on the new year. On the new year, we're going to talk about picking a word of the year. Do you do that? I don't want to spoil it. I do that. I do it every year. And I have my new word for the year. I think you should have 2 words. I think you should have your word for the year for your life, and then maybe a word for the year for your relationship with your dog, like a dog word, But we'll talk. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Listen, there's still leftovers. We're still gotta get through New Year's Eve, have a party, all that good stuff. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll wait till January 1st. Well, we'll sit down together and we'll talk about our word of the year and what we're going to do moving forward in January. All right, friend. That's all I got for this. Because as I say, I literally came up with this and I'm like, shut up and show up. That's a terrible title, but it's the end of the year. Gonna come into January all fresh and new. New Year's resolution. Come up with better titles and shows for your podcast, Tracy. All right, friend, listen. Make sure if you like this kind of thing that you, I'm shaking my head like, why would you? But if you like this kind of thing, be sure to head on over to Apple and leave a 5-star written review. It really does help push the podcast out to more and more people. If you're on Spotify, leave me a comment, rate over there as well. Head on over to beyondobedience.ca/contact and hit that orange microphone. Send me a voice memo. Somebody send me a voice memo. Tell me if you like the podcast. And I'm going to see if I can, feature you here on the podcast. I would love that. I would love that for us. Let's do that for us. You and I, let's do that. Why wouldn't you want to do that? All right. I think that's it for today. All right, my friend. As always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you are amazing, even if you're a chitty chatter, a jibber jabber, like me. Your dog still thinks you're amazing, and so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only, and it's not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.